Hey everybody, so a few days ago I did a video commenting on what we all have assumed is Chris Chan's quote-unquote girlfriend, and a number of people wrote in pointing out this probably isn't his girlfriend, it's probably his caseworker, and I lean more towards that being the case myself as well. That seems most logical, and I think there's a good chance we've just all jumped to conclusions when we saw the pictures of him kissing her. In reality, probably what's going on there is that Chris, as we know, has tremendous problems with physical and social boundaries, and two, is known to assume that any girl who gives him the time of day is romantically interested in him. And we're not just talking about Barb, we're not just talking about that poor girl from the comic book store whose name I can't think of right now, and whose name I don't want to repeat because I don't want to further her unfortunate notoriety. We're not just talking about that, we're talking about all kinds of things, like the time he was ejected from some kind of fandom convention for going around kissing people randomly without their permission, things like that. So Chris is, as we know, is a very free-range sort of individual when it comes to other people's boundaries. So this probably is his caseworker, and if that is the case, the best possible scenario here is that the reason she is this petite, attractive petite blonde woman is Chris's caseworker. The best possible situation for that is that they both also exist in an alternate dimension that's based on the prehistoric Australian outback, where they battle against a mysterious enemy known as Mr. Gone. But that's probably not the case. And probably, knowing that this is Chris Chan we're talking about, we can always assume that the worst possible scenario is the most likely one. And this is the reason that this is his caseworker is probably because, as people have gathered, Chris Chan identifies as a woman. It looks, from all signs indicate that he's being housed with women because he identifies as probably because he identifies as a woman. And so for that reason, he has been paired with, this gigantic hulking man has been paired with a tiny petite little woman that he could easily physically overpower, and even despite being a known sexual predator. So that being the case, the country is, if not the world, is very bitterly divided over the trans issue right now, and neither side wants to give any ground. But the simple reality is that if you grant approval of these things indiscriminately with no regard for the collateral damage that it could cause, you're going to end up with cases like Chris Chan, where you have a big hulking man, physical man, who is infinitely stronger than the tiny petite woman that he has been paired with. And honestly, if Chris Chan's going to go out in public with guided supervision, he needs to have two gigantic meatheads following him everywhere, not left alone with this tiny little woman. And that is just the unfortunate reality of the situation. And, there's an old saying, you're free to ignore reality, but reality will not ignore you. And that's what we're dealing with here, I think. So this is that is the situation we find ourselves in. I think it's very, I think it's sad, or unfortunate at least, that this woman is going to, the Weens are going to figure out who she is. They're going to blast her name all over the internet, and she's going to become part of Christory. Now, if the other possibility is, if it's the other possibility and this is his girlfriend, and this is, if that's the case, I really don't feel sorry for her at all, because as other people have pointed out, if that's the case, it was probably just someone trying to be a part of Christory or another troll or something like that, in which case, the notoriety is what she wants, so, no sympathy there. But if this is just Another person that's been that's going to end up being a part of Christory, as I think it says on the quickie, you should something like you should observe Christory, you should not contribute to it or not be a part of it. But that's the reality of it. Is whatever's happening here, this woman's going to enter into an extraordinary level of notoriety. I say all of this with disapproval, but I know that people are going to start trying to get in touch with her. People are going to start, wanting to try to provoke some kind of response from her or something like that. But the sad reality is, we're in a situation where we probably just have to wait for the next shoe to drop. And see what happens. And it's, the slow moving to the tune of 40 years, slow moving train wreck that is Chris Chan's life, is just going to keep slowly, it went off the rails a long time ago. Now it's, rolling through the nearby woods, and we're, wondering where it's going to stop. But anyway, that's the reality of the situation. And hopefully, best case scenario, or the best case scenario for this is that, Chris getting to go out in public with this petite, tiny little woman is some kind of privilege. Maybe he's had it impressed upon him that if he acts up and misbehaves, he's going to be, he's going to have to go out with Bruno and Igor going forward or something like that. I don't know. But chances are the reality of this is that they're just not giving it the attention that it deserves. And it's kind of like, again, I gave this example in another recent video, but it goes back to what they said in the movie Joker. What do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash? You get what you fucking deserve. And that's, again, what we're dealing with here with Chris Chan and with this situation. And the reality of it is, though, that in any state correctional system, I said this before, but in any state correctional system, they have to deal with a very, very, very wide range of sexual criminals with, on a scale from 1 to 10, R. Kelly is about a 5, and Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer are about a 10. And on that scale, Chris ranks at about a 0.00005, so it's just not something that's going to get on their radar, because they're not morbidly fascinated with Chris Chan the way all of us in the internet land are. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Like I said, it's probably a situation where Chris has just sadly been allowed to take advantage of a system just by identifying as female. He gets, all of the accoutrements of female accommodation in these situations, and that's only going to go downhill from here. So that's where it stands. We have to wait for the next shoe to drop, and it seems to be dropping on about a once a month recurring basis at this point. So we'll see what happens.